What's up guys, welcome to another video. Octane and Zip Ties, and we have some more C34 Laurel content. Logan is currently in Tallahassee. He left today, so hopefully my hubs came in. Vlog content, gonna be installing rear upper control arms, rear traction arms, and rear tow arms for Laurel, so hopefully we can fit the wheels that I bought from Logan, the Rivers. So, catch you guys whenever I get home. The main goodies for the video. We have Megan Racing tow arms. Got these from buddy Aaron over here in Orlando. Hooked me up, let me get them real cheap, and then he also hooked me up with these traction arms, also for the rear. And then drove all the way out to Eustis, hour and 20 minutes away, to get these uppers. Don't know what brand they are, but they're practically brand new, and they should have plenty of adjustment that we need to get the camera numbers that we want to hopefully fit the wheels. The big part, shout out to Nate, Logan's neighbor, for hooking me up and getting these done. These are the stock C34 brake rotors in the rear. Tried to find aftermarket ones to run just to get some new ones and such, but the only ones that'll fit and work with the S14 hub are R33 Skyline GTST or R34 GTT, which is just as hard to find as anything C34 Laurel. So just decided to take the stock ones and go get them re-drilled. And then right here we have a nice new radiator, because as you guys saw, the old one is absolutely destroyed, so definitely need a new one. This is for an R33 GTST, just your basic aluminum radiator from Mishimoto. So see how it does. Heard good and bad about Mishimoto radiators, but should get the job done. Not doing any super hard driving or drifting or anything like that, just simple daily driver. So I got it all uncovered, and today I'm going to be unbolting and taking off all of the suspension. I gotta jack up the front, get the wheels off. I already have the rears off because I had to get off the rotors to go and get those re-drilled. So rotors are off, calipers are off in the rear. So go ahead and get the front jacked up, probably set up a time lapse, and start taking off all of the front suspension. Got both front coilovers out, both front hubs are pulled off, and I'm going to go over what we're going to be doing here as far as slotting. So as you can see, these are Broadway static. They're for an S14. I have 24K on the front and 20K in the rear. They have a little bit of a pre-slot already, so that's how I had about -8 I think in the front, with these maxed out and my top hats maxed out. So hopefully we can get, you know, the extra 4 or 5 degrees. That'll give me around -12, -13, which hopefully is plenty to fit these the big wheels over here, you know. What's up guys, back with the coilover, and it is slotted. This is way more than I needed. I've only used probably half of where it is, so the knuckle bottoms out before the bolt gets all the way. But that's slotted. It's not the prettiest, but it gets the job done. Way more than what it had. So with this, it gave me about, I don't know, roughly -14 based off the phone, so probably around -13, -14 once it's on the ground. Alright, so it took me way too long, honestly, to slot the coilovers, but kind of overdid it. But luckily we got it done, so you know, got a little bit of cambies in the front now.
1 minute 37 seconds later.
Was only able to get the fronts done yesterday, but those are slotted and done. So today, hopefully, we're going to get the rear taken apart and most of the arms put on. So all I'm going to be doing is I gotta take the axle out in order to get the hub out. So that's the one little nut right there. And then you have to take off the traction arm back here, the rear upper, just 2 bolts for each of these arms, and then the rear toe arm, which is also 2 bolts, and the coilover because that's blocking the bolt for the toe arm. So I'll go ahead and get that pulled off and then catch you guys when I'm done. Back, got the passenger side apart. Went much easier than the other side because, you know, always easier the second time around. But everything's off, gotta kind of just temporarily. That one's just loosely bolted. I bolted the toe arm on completely since that one's kind of out of the way. But probably won't be able to film anymore until I get my 5 luck hubs because still haven't come in. Everything's done. Catch you guys whenever I get the new hubs. Alright, so hubs are in. It's been probably 2 weeks since I last messed with any of the suspension on the Laurel, but we got them in. So probably gonna do the front first. I gotta uncover the car and everything, but probably get the front on, mock up the 18x11s because I'm thinking the 18x10.5 in the rear so I can run less camber to maybe be able to put at least some of the power to the ground that I'm gonna be making with all the big turbo and stuff, which dropped probably a little bit before this video. Not sure when this one's gonna come out, but the vlog detailing all of the engine parts and any other little field things that has dropped. So this one is coming shortly after, all the suspension and fitting the wheels. But I'll go ahead and get the car uncovered and start getting to work. This is back on. Couldn't tell you the camera number. I messed with it a little bit because I was attempting to fit one of the big boys over there, but yeah, it didn't fit. And that's because this fender right here, maybe you can see, yep, so you can see it's not rolled, got a little tab still, and yeah, that right there doesn't allow me to fit the wheel. Kind of have to leave this sitting like this. I'm probably just gonna roll this myself because I'm not too worried about the paint. It's gonna get painted anyways, and I've already kind of digged it up a little bit with the wheel, but probably gonna roll this. Don't know when I'll get around to that, but I should be able to fit the other side with no problem. After I did that, I went ahead and threw the rear together. So only this side's back together. Just did these two, and I put the other front together. But this one right here went together really easy. Everything kind of went on just like it was. Had no problem putting on the new hub. Same as the front, slides on, and the one nut. I have to get the other side put together because it is still hanging all loose and sad looking like it has been for the past 2 weeks. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably throw this together and start adjusting the camber. I've got quite a bit of thread to run this in, pull the top of the knuckle in, and we'll see what it gives me. Try test fitting the 10.5s in the rear over here. No idea if they're gonna fit. We're gonna really hope that they do because I like the big specs and I don't really want to rebuild the wheels because it's more stuff I got to do and more money I have to spend. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. So I'm going to get this put on and then probably try test fitting the other front. But as of right now, at least it's looking a little bit less sad. Has, you know, some suspension put together. I'll try and fit these big johns on it and let you guys see. Alright, so trying to put this axle into the newly installed hub, and coming across the problem that this is a little stiff to deal with. And my thought process was actually going to be to get the unbolt the coilover from the other side so it kind of frees up the sway bar so the other side has more play in it too. So hopefully if I do that, I can push this down farther so it'll flex more and let me get this in because it's rather long, and just being able to do this, me as one person, can't do it. If you had two, you probably could, but I'm going to try unbolting the coilover from the other side to see if it'll free up any tension caused by the sway bar. Alright, so rotors, everything's together back here. All the suspension, all the arms are on. Time-lapse stopped once I got to putting on the rotor because the e-brake was giving me a little bit of issue trying to just squeeze it on, so went ahead and stopped it just to, you know, cut out the long part that didn't really need to be there, but had to mess with the e-brake a little bit to get this to slide on the right way. but everything else went on pretty easy, except the arms. I had to mess with them a little bit because there is tension on the other side. So I went ahead and unbolted the coilover and everything so I could get the axle in, which I ended up bolting it back up after that, but I had to undo it again because the arms were being quite difficult to get in, but got those all on. They're all tight, brake calipers on and tight, everything's pretty much finalized back here, so figured I could go ahead and get a little test fit. This is the 11, so I'm not going to be running these technically in the rear, but since this one doesn't have a tire, it's way easier to mess with and just put on, and not having the tire makes it easier to fit it too. So I'll go ahead and try and throw this on and show you guys how it looks. So there you go, got the wheel on, and yeah, it's a bit of a tight fit. As you can see, that is the lip and my fender, and they're definitely hitting. So this is the 11. I'm gonna try and run the 10.5, so you can assume that 10.5 will sit half an inch more in than this one does, but we'll have to see how much camber I really need. I can't even test fit the 10.5 because I won't be able to get it on with the tire on it. But honestly, for an 11 wide wheel, and I'm only running, let's say it's like -5, -6 degrees, that's really not too bad considering this car really isn't that much of a big bodied car. But there you have it, the 11 on the rear, not too shabby. I'm gonna have to probably mess with my upper in there, see if I can get enough camber out of it, mess with the camber bolts maybe, see what happens. But overall, pretty satisfied with how this is fitting with as little camber as it has. So that'll be cool. I'll probably get around to messing with that a little bit later and test fit the front next. So the goal is to get the 11 to fit in the front so I can run the 10.5s in the rear with less camber to handle whatever this thing decides to put out. But we're gonna see if we can do it. Hopefully, I definitely think I have enough camber, so we're just gonna have to watch and see if the barrel decides to rub on the coilover itself. But see if I can go ahead and do that. So let's try again, maybe. Hey, and there you have it, the 11 on the front. So that's on, barely. Couldn't tell you camber number on that, not too sure. Lug nuts are on. Just went ahead and threw on 2 hand tight just so it held the wheel on, doesn't wiggle. But so give it a spin and it sounds like it rubs, just a hair. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it barely hits the barrel. A couple spots maybe. Yeah, it hits bad in that spot. That spot's really bad. But I might be able to pull out a little bit more camber, make it work, because that's really close. Or I could leave the camber and throw on a small spacer. Not too sure yet. I think this right here should work decently. I mean, it really doesn't look too much different besides the lips, considering the same faces that I had. But a little side view. The rear, obviously very minimal camber, like it was, probably 5 or 6 degrees. And then the front, we got some decent camber now, more than it was, but I like the look. Much better, in my opinion, than it was, and I definitely like The big lip look. Front bumper is on, and I don't know if I want to show you. Maybe hold out. Maybe. Just wait till it's done. Now let you guys see. No, I'm kidding. So, there you have it. Front bumper is on, somewhat, if you want to call that on. But, it's pretty close. The front is set down. Tire is on the ground, or at least most of it is. But, there you go. It is on as close as it can be right now. Gap's like very, very minimal. Get you a little bit closer up on it, but gap's minimal. I'm using my old spacers to kind of hold the bumper up. But I'm gonna say that right there where it's at is going to be pretty much how it rides once it's actually on. And I mean, this is an 1.5 inch spacer, so it's about 1.5 inches off the ground. So hopefully I don't fuck up my bumper, but honestly, I think it's fine, because I'm gonna learn how to fiberglass anyways, put them back together, and yeah. I feel much better personally seeing this somewhat together. Makes it actually look like it's coming together a bit better, minus my little fender gap over here. Can't really see that too well. Yeah, my little messed up fender, but overall, I think that looks amazing. And I am extremely happy with how it's sitting. I took off the rear bumper. So the rear bumper was very easy to take off. Honestly, way easier than I thought. But there was 2 bolts back here. 3 bolts each side. They just came right off. Those came off of the corner brackets that were on the bumper. So those were super easy to come off, and it freed up the edges. And then tried to pull it off and noticed it was kind of stuck on this centerpiece, and there was, how many was there? A couple of plastic screws, 5 to be specific, but had to pull the taillights to get that off, pull out a little trim piece, pulled those off, and then bumper came right off. 2 zip ties on the bottom. I don't honestly know who did that, but cut off the zip ties, and that came off super easy. So figured now that I have this off, we can go ahead and fit the kit. Should be able to get both sides on and see how that looks, but I'll go ahead and go grab those and we'll throw them on. I managed to get both sides on. I had to pull off the exhaust because the tips were too big to fit in this little gap, so that means I'm gonna have to do either new tips or something. I don't know what I'm doing with that yet. I haven't thought that far into it, but the rear bumper is fully mocked up all the way up to here. Clips around the edge, and you got a nice little seam right there. It actually sits really nice considering nothing's screwed on. Small gap here, but obviously I can mess with that once I actually put all the fasteners on it and everything, and it is actually fiberglass back together. But all in all, rear bumper's on, front bumper's mocked up. Go ahead and close the trunk so you can get a real view of it. But there you have it. Laurel looks kind of like a little bit of a slab there. Rear's obviously not on the ground, but I mean, hey, I think it looks a lot better than it did when I freshly wrecked it. But should sit pretty nice in the rear. Looks like the bottom of the lip's about equal with the bottom of the kit, so that should sit good. And front looks good too. So it's about, the car's about level right now ish. I think the rear's sitting a little bit higher, but once I get my skirts, because those still haven't come in yet, there's been a problem with just shipping them, but we're getting that sorted. So skirts hopefully in soon. We're trying to send those without having them cut, but that might not be an option, because going off of the kit on Michael's car, it looks like the front and side skirts sit about the same, and the rear bumper sits a tad higher.
Yeah, that's all, folks.
Interesting.